Hey, Kevin.
Hey, Christiana.
Hello, and hello to everybody in the audience. I'm Christiana. I'm the community manager here at Descript, and I'm joined by the lovely Kevin, our product specialist and our guide for today. How
Hey,
are you
hello.
doing?
Good to be here. Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm very excited to talk about all things social clips with you and our friends out there
Me too.
today.
Me too.
Um, I'm going to quickly go over some reminders and some agenda items while we get started and while folks are still joining. But everybody in the chat, we've got a poll down there. I'm curious what sort of stuff you guys make. I want to know if you're making mostly audio or video, both, or maybe you have not quite gotten to the creation part yet. And then in the chat, let us know what it is exactly you make. Tell us about your podcast. Tell us about your videos. We want to hear it. And then let me just share my screen and give you a look at what we're going to talk about today. So welcome, of course. And before we jump into the actual demo, we're going to talk a little bit about social videos and why they matter. Then we're going to show you how to actually clip from your bigger project into social clips. We'll show you how to add media, B-roll, images, video, all of that good stuff. Correcting transcripts and adding captions and customizing them. How to add cool elements like waveforms, progress bars, and more. We'll show you how to resize for different platforms, whether that's TikTok, Instagram, or whatever you're posting to. Exporting, how to get your stuff out of Descript. And then if we have time at the end, we're going to show you templates. And then just some reminders for today. If you're brand new to Descript, this is not a covering the basics session. Kevin and I do 101s every other week, and those would be perfect to start off with. So we're not going to show you exactly like all of the nuts and bolts of Descript today. So if you're brand new, you can pause this. We'll send out the recording and hop on our YouTube and catch a 101 instead. Or you can join me and Kevin for our next live one at the end of the month, which we'll put in the chat as well. Crowdcast-wise, our friend Marcelo will be in the Ask a Question section below. Technical questions that come up. He is a support wizard. He knows everything about Descript. Hop in there. And then, of course, use the chat for reactions, commentary, all of those things. And if you just joined us, I'd love to know if what you're making. So let us know in the chat. And I just said this, but this is recorded, as are all of our live events. So you can hop on our YouTube and you can catch this right after the event. We'll also send it out in the follow-up email. And you can catch all of our other events. And also we're live streaming to YouTube right now. So if Crowdcast is freezing or it's a little glitchy, you can hit refresh. But if that's still not working, you can just hop over to YouTube and watch there. And then, of course, if you want more help, help.descript.com is the place to go. We've got reference manuals, tutorials, all of that stuff. And then, of course, we have an awesome Discord community with almost 10,000 people in it. And you can just chat with other users and get support that way. So definitely join that. And then last but not least, if you're brand new to Descript, we've got a promo code for you to try Descript Pro for free. We'll send that link in the chat as well. But it's social videos at checkout. And that's for new users only, just FYI. But yeah, would love to give you a shot at Descript Pro for a month. Okay, that is all of the housekeeping. One more look at the agenda here, just so you know what to expect. And before we dive into Kevin's actual demo, let's talk about why social clips matter. Why are we all here? Why do we want to do this and learn this? So yeah, like we said in the 101s, we cover everything about Descript, but today we're diving into taking your content, taking your media, and turning that into a promotional clip or some sort of version to post onto social. And Kevin, I want to hear what you think about this too. But for me, when I think about that and like promoting my own work, the two reasons why you want to do this mainly is, of course, for like discoverability and growth. sending out to new different platforms, finding your people on social media is super important for just finding new audience members and being discovered by net new folks. And then also just connecting with your listeners or your watchers that you already have. Posting on social media like gives them a place to continue the conversation. And also gives them something to share too. I know I love to like post on my Instagram story about my favorite shows and chat with other listeners and comment sections. So yeah, that's what I see as some really important aspects of this. What about you, Kevin? Anything I missed?
The one thing I would add is we spend a lot of time making our media, right? Our videos or podcasts, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And within each episode or piece that we make, there are so many moments that are worth sharing. And with Descript, we make it super easy to share.
Yeah.
So I always think like, if I have this hour-long episode, I might as well get my money's worth out of it, my time's worth out of it. All I spent so much time making it, and use it to help promote the longer form content. So it's so easy, and we're happy to show you how easy it can be with Descript.
Totally. Yes, Descript absolutely makes it easy. Something we talk about a lot at Descript on the craft side is like we spend so much energy creating stuff, but sometimes the hardest bit is like growing your audience and actually getting people to listen to it. So I think in the next 35 minutes or so, Kevin's going to give us the tools to really do that in a way that is not going to take up your whole day, so you can actually focus on storytelling.
That's right.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I'm super excited. Kevin, I will pass it over to you to
Great.
actually show us how to do this in Descript.
Let's do it. Before we jump in, it's important to note that Descript doesn't edit for you or teach you to edit. I think that's a big misconception with how intuitive and powerful the tool is. It seems like, oh, I can just not have to learn anything. I'll just be able to make a podcast today without really thinking about it. And though it is very simple and intuitive, it still takes some skill and some practice and refining your craft and what your vision is for your media. So 3 things: connecting with us and with our community through Discord, learning through these events and through all of our other videos that we've published and anything else anyone else is making out there. There's a lot of really great creator videos on YouTube, folks that are just making stuff with Descript. And then practicing, taking some time to slow down, be side by side with one of our events or one of our videos, maybe at 1.5, 2x speed, or maybe at like 0.5x speed, whatever your speed is. And just and take your time and put in the practice, and you'll be very happy that you did.
Totally.
Cool. So let's just show off what Descript is if you haven't been using it too much. Descript is a text-based audio and video editor. So we put in our media, whether it's audio or video, we get this text transcript. And what we can do is edit the text to edit the underlying audio and or video.
I also make my team listen to their interviews. So for example, a lot of people are...
So if you don't like a phrase, a sentence, a word, you can delete it from the transcript here. Just by highlighting it and pressing delete. And now
team listen to their interviews. A lot of people are authors.
And make your edits that way. So where we're going to start today is bringing things into Descript. Real quick, we'll do a quick overview on importing and transcribing. But we're really going to get into how to clip stuff out from longer form content, how to bring in smaller clips, whatever it might be, and create things that are made specifically for social. A 3-minute video, probably not made for social, but we might be, like we were saying earlier, is clipping this out in several different places, or bringing our already edited and already produced and maybe already even published media that we're ready to clip out. So I'm going to start fresh. I'm going to go back to our drive. If any of these terms or kind of things that we're talking about are new to you, can't recommend enough going back to that 101 session, starting to learn the terminology and getting onboarded into Descript. This is a shorter session. We're going to be done in a quarter until the hour. So in East Coast time where I am, it'll be 12:45. So we're going to zip through this, and it's going to be nice, easy, digestible. But as you said, it's recorded so you can watch it after.
Exactly. Cool.
Great. So I'm going to make a new project here in my Descript window. And I have a piece of media that I'm just going to drag and drop in. I'm going to start with audio only. So taking something that's audio, this is a piece of a podcast, it's audio only, and I want to be able to take that audio and transform it so I can share it on maybe TikTok or Instagram or LinkedIn, wherever. So transforming that audio only piece to video. And then I'm also going to do the same process, starting with video and repurposing that video for social.
Cool.
So here I have a file that I'm going to drag and drop in. And I have this file just on my computer. I'm going to transcribe it. Decide how many speakers there are. In this case, I don't really remember. I'm going to click unsure. So I'm going to use my detect speakers process, which is a very cool feature. So we'll identify these speakers, and it's going to play some examples, and we'll just type who's speaking when.
The party.
We all ended up in the big dance hall where there's really loud music, and it was like unbearably hot. All the ladies' eyebrow pencil must.
I believe his name is Greg. I'm going to put in Greg here. So when Greg's speaking.
Strange way to make first impressions on each other. Not because we...
And this is our host, Avery. Done. So now when this transcript pops up like this, we have Greg labeled out really nicely and Avery labeled out really nicely. Just for our own sake, maybe we're going to use some dynamic speaker labels later that pop up on screen, maybe not. But here for our editing, we know who's speaking when. It's color-coded. It's also color-coded in the timeline. If we're doing any kind of timeline editing, check out our one-on-one session for timeline editing. But here I'm ready to just decide, maybe Christiana and I are working on this together. We're like, okay, we need at least 3 little clips to share on social. Let's find those. They can be short, teasery, very easy to pull out. So let's just give some listening.
That's what it was called.
I think all they told us was you should wear clothes of the opposite gender. They probably said it in a way that's slightly more, literate in the differences between gender and biological sex than what I just said.
It was a strange way to make first impressions on each other. Not because we were scared of wearing dresses or backwards baseball caps or whatever we wore that night.
Cool. If you haven't listened to the show, awesome show called Articles of Interest about clothing and how we wear it and society in general. Very sweet show.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah. So we find a section, we like it. We can highlight it in the script. It's 2 quick, simple steps to pull this out of the larger format and make it into its own piece that we can edit. So we're going to highlight it, and we're going to use this duplicate to feature. And this is going to take this section that we've selected in the script and push it over to its own doc, what we call a composition. So I'll click duplicate to, and I'll click new composition. Beautiful. Open it up. Nice little shortcut. And now I have this section in its own doc, just like that. Now I can treat this as its own video, its own audio, whatever I'm doing. The original is unaffected. It's always going to be up here in our drop down with our project contents that we can move around if we want to. But it's always going to be back there, and we can go back to the original whenever we need to, or I can go to this one here.
Cool.
We can label a title, whatever we need to do. All right, beautiful. So we have this sectioned out. Now we're ready to make this into something shareable on social. There's a few options here. We can start fresh, which we're going to do real quick. We're going to add piece by piece each element. We can start from a template that we have available in our templates gallery by clicking templates up here. Or we could also use a template that we've made, which hopefully we have some time at the end to show how you do that. If we don't, well, we're going to do this anyways, but we're going to do a live event that's all about templates very soon, so stay tuned.
Totally.
So, Christiana, what should we add to this to start building this social video from audio only?
I love a good waveform. Definitely want to get some good captions in there. And maybe some sort of, I don't know if you have like an icon or Avery's logo for this podcast handy, but I feel like that would be cool for a little social video.
Just so happens I do. All right, so let's start with waveform.
Cool.
Waveform is a shape in Descript, so we're going to go up to our shapes insert right here
Awesome.
and just click waveform. Now, just like that, we go from audio only, which is script and timeline, to video composition, which is script, timeline, and this video canvas right here. We can arrange all of our visual elements.
Sweet.
So we have this waveform.
We were scared of wearing dresses or backwards baseball caps or whatever we wore.
Simple, maybe a little uninspired. It's just our starting point, our foundation, right? We might want to add some branded coloring to it, or we want to change the shape or its placement, whatever it might be. But we have the waveform there. And by clicking it in the canvas, selecting it right here, we can change the style or the settings as we're going. Messing around with these, dealer's choice, whatever you think looks really good, but you can really get this looking cool.
And if you're making something on behalf of a brand, you can upload custom fonts, your logo, all of those things to make sure that you're staying on brand.
That's right. Cool. Give it a color. All those settings are in this menu here, and you can mess around with those how you like. Okay, so
Scared of wearing dresses.
looking pretty good. Good enough. We also wanted to add some captions. Gonna be a big one. So I'm going to go up to our text insert here and drop in captions. Great.
Awesome.
Same thing visually. We can click and move these around. Little trick, if anything's ever covered up in the canvas, like in layers, like a stack of paper, basically, right? You have captions and a waveform right now. In this case, my box for my waveforms sometimes covering up my captions. So I could move them out of the way, do that pretty easily, or I could also just click off and be able to select one or the other. It starts to get complicated when we add a lot of different layers too. So
Right.
click off the canvas if you ever need to reset. It's a really quick way to get in there.
Awesome.
All right, beautiful. You can resize. Christiana mentioned we can bring in our custom font right here. So that's really helpful, whatever it might be, or if you want to add it to your drive and import your font. Cool.
Awesome. Some folks are asking about the aspect ratio here. So it looks like the default is a landscape video, but we are going to show you in just a little bit how to change that to square, which Maria, you asked for, and also portrait for TikTok. So hold tight. We're going to show you that in just a second.
That's right.
Awesome.
The kind of like hint into the future is make it once, duplicate it as many times as you need to in the different formats. So you don't have to continue to create it fresh each time.
Exactly.
We'll show you that very soon. Lovely. So we
Smarter,
have,
Not because
that's right. We have,
because we were scared of wearing dresses or backwards baseball caps or whatever we wore that night. It was because for many of us, we had to borrow.
great. Pro tip number 2 in the canvas, besides our layers and clicking off to select those layers, hold down Shift on your keyboard and you can freeform adjust the sizes of these boxes. So if I want this to show 2 lines, I hold down Shift and click and drag, or maybe I want to put it right here. Maybe put the logo that we're talking about right here.
Cool.
So a really easy way to kind of have more style control that way. Let's say same thing with our waveform. You click the element in the canvas and we can change all of the aspects of these captions. So we have some settings here for our captions that we can go through. We could add an active word,
Cool.
fill, and background. So that'll play along.
Because we were scared of wearing dresses or backwards baseball caps or whatever we wore that night.
Awesome.
Sweet.
All right. Last piece is I'm going to bring in our logo. I have that saved on my computer. I think. Yes. I'm just going to drag and drop that in right on to the canvas. Same thing. Hold down Shift to freeform. or don't hold down shift to keep the aspect ratio.
Cool.
Cool. And final pro tip number 3 in the canvas is using our arrows on our keyboard to get more fine-tuned movement and adjustments and placement. Just all the time. Get those really snugged in where I want them.
Borrow clothes from the other people in our hall. It was weirdly intimate. Piers and I, complete strangers, swapped outfits.
You're tall and
Cool. All right.
Cool.
Looking
That's
okay.
amazing.
We're moving. Something you can do with in Descript as well is click around the canvas again, and you can add a background. So I could change the background, right? It's this black frame. I could change that if I need to whatever color that I'd like.
Cool.
And mess around with that, as well as any effects or transitions if we're ever making something longer, which check out our Scenes 101 session for that kind of effect. All right, cool.
Awesome.
Backwards baseball caps or whatever we wore that night.
Okay, we have our starting point and our foundation, and there's probably a few things we want to do right now. One is duplicate this and change the orientation. This might be really great for LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever it might be doing, but not going to be great for TikTok or Instagram or Twitter.
Right.
So what we can do, we can easily change the orientation by clicking these 3 dots right here and going between landscape, square, portrait, and custom. If we do that, we lose our version for LinkedIn. So what I want to do is I'm going to duplicate this doc, this composition, a few times and make a different version for each of those. So this is my clip for LinkedIn. I'm going to go back up to my project contents up here in this dropdown, and I'm just going to right click and duplicate. That's just going to create another copy of this, another version, keeps my raw media completely intact, good to go. And I can rename these as I'm going. So I can go clip for Reels. I'll duplicate one more time and rename. Clip for Twitter. Christiana, you
Or
know.
maybe, yeah,
these-
Instagram
Yeah, for
to
like
do the square.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably because we'll make a square.
Awesome.
You know more about the orientation for video on different platforms. Far more than I do.
Due to my job and because I'm very online. So
Very online.
yes. Exactly.
Love it. Okay, so we have these 3 different versions of the same thing right now, right? We start with LinkedIn. We have that looking good, ready to go. Let's go to our Instagram one. We want this one to be square. So what we're going to do is make this a square. 3 dots, video settings, square.
Awesome.
Might need to do a little bit of work to make this look exactly how we want to. Make some design changes, perhaps. Completely up to you.
Totally.
But just like that, we're kind of good to go.
Backwards baseball caps or whatever we wore that.
We'll do the same thing one more time for Reels. This one we're going to make portrait. Again, the arrangements that I'm doing, I'm holding down shift for freeform on the canvas here to change some of these visual elements, and not holding shift if I want to keep the orientation. So we'll go to portrait, makes it nice, tall, vertical for us. I'm going to maybe change some of the settings too. Get that magnitude up, looking good.
Awesome.
And here I might actually bring the size of our text up to just take up more space. I did that in that sidebar here by clicking and dragging size to the right or left.
Sweet.
Looking pretty good.
Caps or whatever we wore that night. It was because for
All right, let's pause there. This is our simple taking audio, making a video out of it. Obviously, the only moving aspects of this are our caption, animation, as well as our waveform. When we get into video in a second, there we have video paired with our audio, ideally for maybe an interview or recording. So we have a little bit more options of making it more interesting and creative.
Cool.
Christiana, I want to pause here to make sure we get some questions in and maybe hit something that might be helpful for this one.
Totally. Let's see. So Jenny asked, so IG and Twitter like square. So Instagram on the actual grid like square. Twitter, you can do landscape. But something I really want to point out is that you can also customize aspect ratio here. So the 3 options we do automatically for you with the portrait, landscape, and square. But if you have a specific aspect ratio you need for a certain platform, you can make that yourself, no problem, and get that exactly to whatever you need it to be. Another pro tip I wanted to point out, so like on this portrait one, for example, definitely go and look up on like TikTok or Reels caption placement guidelines, because like on TikTok, your actual caption that you write, like for the post itself, can cover that bottom half sometimes. So you might want to put your actual Descript captions at the top so those don't get covered up. Just a pro tip there. So all of the actual platforms, you can look that up on TikTok's website and things like that. To check those out. Cool. What else? Someone asked, Doug asked about, or Miguel asked, is there a way to make the speakers slow down a bit? Playback speed, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
This is maybe a 201, like semi-advanced process in Descript, but simple to do. Not everyone will want to do this, but it's very easy to do. So if you want everybody to slow down, just generally, what you can do is go up to our clips list up here. This is if you haven't done any editing. Right, because I have one long clip here. If I did do some editing, I might need to make some changes per clip. And a clip is just basically between one edit point and another edit point. So if I haven't deleted any text to delete the underlying audio or video or anything like that, I'm good. This is one long clip. You can see it here. Both speakers on one clip. I go up to my clip list right here. I can click this little settings toggle and change the clip speed. So what was it? You wanted it slowed down or sped up?
I think Miguel asked to slow it down.
Cool. So maybe a 0.8 speed. Make it longer.
Not because we were scared of wearing dresses or backwards baseball caps or whatever we wore that night. It was because for many, borrow clothes from the other people in our hall.
Yeah, you can mess around and figure out the speed that works for you. That's how you go and do it.
Awesome.
Good question.
Sweet. There's a really cool conversation happening in the chat about like why would you have captions anyway? For social, the reason why they're so important, and a lot of folks are saying this, is a lot of people are on like TikTok or Instagram with no sound. So being able to give them something to read from your show is going to be super helpful in terms of just making sure you get your point across there.
And the other is accessibility of you not relying on the auto captioning or closed captioning from any of these platforms to get your media right, making sure it's 100%. So anyone watching your stuff is watching, reading, listening, viewing the same exact thing.
Exactly.
Really
super huge for accessibility. Awesome. Okay. Well, I think we can continue on.
Love it. Now let's bring in some video. I'm going to create a new composition here. I'm going to go up, click this plus button in our drop down right here, and that'll give us a blank composition. I'm going to choose a file from my computer. And what's a good one here? I'm going to use, oh, this is good. An interview between Hannibal Buress and Mitski from his podcast a long time ago. So I'll transcribe again, go through the same process, identify speakers. I don't remember. I haven't worked on this one in a while, so I'm going to say unsure again so I can get those labeled out really nicely. Also a great opportunity to mention that you can also transcribe in 22 different languages, depending on what your media is recorded in. So really awesome. And that is going to be one language per file. So if you have multiple languages in a single file, you might have a tougher time. Well, that's done. We should get into this another time, maybe in our next session. There's a cool trick for multi-language media. Hit us up on Discord or Twitter or something, and we can share that with you. But we learned it the other day from somebody that was working on something.
Oh, cool.
All right. Click done. Identify some speakers. And get started.
Yeah, me too. That's yeah, me too. I just try to shake it. Get up.
I'm just going to put Tony. Who knows?
Okay, what you have to do when you're having it.
And that's Mitski. Okay, great.
Ooh.
That was a little loud, just FYI, Kevin.
Oh, was it? Okay, sorry about that. Let me bring it down.
Sorry, everybody. Woke you right up.
I wonder if the future request for that to be normalized to playing back. I'll bring it down a little bit. Oh, it's probably because before it's auto leveled. When we bring things into Descript, they're auto leveled, but maybe our playback and speaker detection isn't auto leveling.
Do it. Sorry, anyone, if we gave you a fright there. So, second cup of coffee for me was that.
There you go. All you need. Apologies.
No worries.
Okay.
No worries.
Let me. I'm gonna play this.
Like very calmly count numbers, and then I slowly.
Is that too loud?
No, that was great.
Oh, okay, great, beautiful. All right, so we have this video. This is a piece of an already produced interview, right?
It's sleep paralysis, so you just count numbers. Well, I do anyway.
Obviously, it's already branded. It has some stuff that's already burned into the video itself. All of the processes that we're talking about now, too, can certainly be done by stuff you're already producing in Descript. But a really common approach is you have this finished file, this complete edit, but you want to repurpose that edit. So I'm bringing in the actual video that was being published to YouTube. All right, cool. So we have, sorry, still laughing at the loud sound. Sorry about that. Note for next time. Oh my gosh. Cool.
No worries.
So we have a video here, and this is just going to open up some different options for us. We have visual elements already attached to the audio that we're working with, but we also want to add some similar things to it. Maybe clip it to a new composition. But with video, we also might want to change some camera angles. This was recorded, I know, with like a couple of GoPros, and it's just very simple camera angles, no zoom in, zoom out, anything like that. We can do that really quickly with Descript. Cool.
What you have to do is what I do when I get it is what, because you know it's happening.
All right, they're talking about traveling, being on tour, having some kind of sleep paralysis when sleeping on a plane. So I'm going to take this section from here to the end, and I'm going to duplicate it to a new composition, just like that. Another option in this case is just deleting the stuff that I don't want.
Right.
So go here, select the text, delete it, and now the video starts here.
What you have to do is what I do when I get it is what, because you know it's happening. You know it's sleep paralysis, so you just count numbers.
Beautiful. Let's do some editing. Right, Christiana? Because we haven't done too much editing in Descript. Let's just clean this up really quickly using the text.
Perfect. Cool.
So I can do this without even playing back. So can you, just by reading through and listening back to make sure the edit sounds good. We can delete it flat out, just like that, and it'll remove it from the video like we said.
What you have to do is you just count numbers.
Or, let me undo real quick, Command or Control Z to undo. I can also use our ignore feature, which strikes it out. We'll also skip over it. But I can see what edits I've made.
What you have to do is you just count numbers. Well, I do anyway. I just go, okay.
So you can highlight something and click ignore again, and it'll unignore it.
So you just count. What you have to do is so you just count numbers.
And you can make your edits that way and be able to toggle that on and off, which is really helpful. All right, let's play back.
What you have to do is just count numbers. Well, I do anyway. I just go, okay, 1, 2, 3, and I just like very calmly count numbers, and then I slowly wake myself up.
Oh.
You should try it. Just count numbers.
Take this out.
Wake myself up.
Oh.
You should try it. Just
Bring that back in. Not a great edit.
you should try it. Just count numbers.
I just. Yeah, me too. Matrix, yeah.
There's our section.
That was it.
Oh, can I get an orange juice, please?
He's fighting those sleep paralysis demons right
So
there.
amazing, yeah. I love this. This podcast is hilarious. Hannibal Buress, great comedian. All right, so we're going to add some captions to this. We're going to change some positioning of the camera by making scenes really quick, where we want to like zoom in on Mitsuki. But I want to take a minute here and talk about correcting the transcript. Very common question. It's like you get a transcript and our auto transcription is, 90, 95, sometimes up to like 98, 99% accurate, depending on the audio quality, depending on crosstalk, a number of things. But more often than not, you might need to make some corrections. So here's a great one right here this is, can I get an orange juice, please? So what I can do is double click the word that I want to correct. I go to correct right here. And I want it to say. Now the transcript is corrected without affecting the video or audio. I can change punctuation without ever having to go into that. You can always delete and add punctuation really easily, like so. But to correct a specific word, double click it, go to correct, and you can change what showed up in just the text. So it still sounds the same.
Can I get an orange juice, please?
Just like that.
Cool.
Love it. All right. So I'm going to add some captions. Let's do that real quick. Those dropped in right here in the canvas. I'm going to change their style. Some defaults here that are really nice to start with. Go to karaoke.
Well, I do anyway. I just go, okay, 1, 2, 3. And
Looks pretty good. I also want to zoom in on this video and get rid of some of the branded elements. So I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger to get that stuff off screen. I think that'll be helpful for social. Boom, boom. Just doing that in the canvas.
numbers, and then I slowly wake my.
Looking pretty good.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. And
All right, awesome. So this is our foundation that we'll build from. Creative decision you can make, as you see a lot, is like, right, Christiana, like zooming in on a specific section of a video and then it comes back out.
Right.
The way we do that in Descript is making a scene, which separates the section that we want to make any kind of visual change to. It separates that section out from the rest of the video so we can change that little section however we'd like to. So we can add stuff to it, visual elements, change the orientation or the zoom, layout, whatever it might be. Easiest way to do that for a specific section is highlight it. So I'm going to do that for 1, 2, 3 here. And what I'm going to do is on my keyboard, click slash. Slash is our shortcut to make a new scene. You can also make new scenes by clicking this scene button right here. But if I want to create a new scene for a specific section and change this section alone, which is this card right here, that's the way I'll do it. I'll select a phrase, word, sentence, and press slash on my keyboard real quickly.
Cool.
So now I just click in that section or select it here, and I can mess around with the layout. So I'm going to mess around with the video in this section, zoom in a bunch on Mitsuki. See if I can do this. Look good. All right. So because I'm either in the script in this scene, this separate section, or I've selected it here in the sidebar, the changes that I make visually are only going to happen to this scene. So when I go back to the beginning, the previous scene, which is right here, it's the same. When I go into that scene, it's here. And when I go out of that scene, it's here. Cool. So let's give that a look.
Just count numbers. Well, I do anyway. I just go, okay, 1, 2, 3, and I just like very
boom.
Cool.
Pretty easy way to make those short sections a little bit more interesting, a little bit more produced.
Love it.
Great opportunity to pause, rewind, and try that yourself if you're watching this recorded, or if you're just at home trying to make something
Totally.
similar.
Yeah, we were just talking about that internally yesterday on our video team about like the craft of choosing what selects to zoom in on. I don't know if anyone in the comments are familiar with this, but recess therapy is a really fun, really popular channel on like TikTok, and they have a YouTube video as well, or a YouTube channel as well, and they do a really good job of like zooming in and holding space. So go check out their stuff for inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
But
all right,
we're pushing up on time. Any questions we can answer before we just show the power of a template, and we can obviously talk about creating templates and publishing templates at a different time.
Yeah, well, first I just want to plug what to do. Say you still have questions, or maybe Marcelo doesn't get to your question in the Ask a Question section right now. Right after this, Discord, or Marcelo is going to host Discord office hours. So Marcelo, if you want to send that link in the chat, right after this, jump in and you can basically essentially FaceTime with Marcelo and ask remaining questions. And then he also has another session later today. So that'll be 30 minutes. And then later today, he has a full hour on Twitch. So definitely go and say, hey. But yeah, I just wanted to plug those really quick.
Very cool.
But yeah, I would love to show folks templates. So I say we steamroll right over there.
All right, let's do it. Cool. I'm going to go back to my original real quick. Duplicate 2 on this one. Oops. There we are. Duplicate 2, new composition, open. So I'm going to go up to our template menu here. I happen to have one already made for this show. But let me start fresh. I think they'll come out better. I'm going to bring in a file from my computer again.
Cool.
So I did a little screen recording on my phone. To make it look like you're listening to the podcast on your phone, right?
I like it.
And what I can do is go to our templates if you're here, and I'll click the template that I had already made here, or I can go into our gallery and find one that comes stock in Descript. And all you do is click it and it'll add it to your video, all of visual elements and layout and everything. But custom templates are a big one. And the way you make a template is exactly the same as making a project, except it's going to be back in our templates creation space. But I'll click this here, and it adds all of those visual elements that I had dropped in my published template. I'll match the orientation so it fits really nicely. That's perfect. And here's what we got.
And this, all of this, everything about menswear, from the uniformity to the world of tiny detail.
Got a little animated thing. Got the captions here, which I might change and like choose our branded color. You can do hex and RGB, whatnot here. That's in our color picker, whatever it might be. And get this looking exactly how you want.
Kevin, speaking of color picker, somebody brought that up earlier in the chat. So can you hover over the actual media you have and pick colors from there, or is that not a feature yet?
Not yet, but go to feedback.descript.com and request that, please.
Yes, that's a
right
really...
now it's just custom hex or RGB codes, but yeah, having the dropper picker I agree. It would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I need that. Good idea. Cool.
Love it.
Amazing.
One more question before we go. I've seen this
Yeah.
one a lot. Just got it in from Dave. Can you turn all captions to uppercase? And our quickest way of doing that is choosing a font that is already uppercase by default. So add fonts to your drive and find a font that is already all uppercase. Not all of them are, but it's a request we've been getting a way to toggle that on and off. I know our product team has been looking at a way to do it, but the quick way to get there now is choosing a font that is already all caps.
Little hack. Sweet. All right. Well, we did it. Kevin, that was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing so much learning in 45 minutes. That was great.
My pleasure. Thank you, Christiana. Thanks for being our ringleader here.
Of course. It's always a pleasure. So folks, some people are saying it came in late. This is already on YouTube. So you can go and watch it right now there. And we will send this out, of course, in the follow-up email. We said this at the top of the hour, but if you liked what you saw and you're a new user, try Descript Pro for free for a month with the code social videos. And then right now, Marcelo is on Discord, and you can ask your follow-up questions to Marcelo there. So this was great. One other thing I wanted to say before we go, we were showing you like social clips, but also if you're an audio-only user, you could make an hour-long version of your audio-only podcast and use all of the elements you saw and put that on YouTube. YouTube is like the number 3 podcast discovery place. It's where so many folks consume audio only content. So you could take what you just learned and make an entire video podcast about that, or with those tools. So we're going to do a whole session on video podcasting in the future. So stay alert, stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, this was great. Kevin, thank you so much. And as we said, if you want more help, you want to keep getting to know us, you can find us on help.descript.com.
That's right. Thanks, everybody.
Alrighty.
Thank you,
Well,
Christiana.
thanks so much. Yeah, this was great. And we'll see you all on Discord or at a future event.
See ya.
All right. Bye, guys.